I call this special board meeting to order. Roll call.
Ms. Metoyer?
Here.
Ms. Fleur?
Here.
Ms. Black? Ms. Yelsey?
Here.
Ms. Bartow? Here. Ms. Anderson? Ms. Snell?
Here.
Dr. Navarro?
Here.
Alrighty, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Fleur, seconded by Mrs. Yelsey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0.
You forgot the opening ceremony.
1 absent. Oh, I did forget opening ceremonies. I'm so sorry. Thank you. However could we open without them?
And it's Flag Day today.
It's Flag Day, and I forgot.
What's the matter with you? What's the matter with
Moment
you?
of reflection and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Ms. Anderson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once I've said it once, I forget I have to get the opportunity to say it again. Yes. We have 2 speakers today on our special agenda item. Mr. Smith, Steve Smith.
You have to give the opening thing.
That's not for my benefit.
Disclosure.
Oh. Yes.
I'm sure
Mrs. Black needs to say her.
And my
It's
prescription
Friday.
glasses are sunglasses.
We're not supposed to be doing this on a Friday. Go ahead.
Actually, this is actually better than my regular glasses. Okay, this is for closed session, right?
Correct.
Yes.
This is an opportunity for the public to address the board regarding items on the closed session
Special
agenda
board
only. Each,
Special agenda item.
It's special agenda items.
okay.
There's,
Okay.
yep, there's one.
Once again.
It's Friday, it's Friday.
I said that.
I have plenty of time.
Okay, there's cards in the back. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on special meeting agenda items only. Each speaker has 3 minutes to address the board, and speakers may not cede their unused minutes to other speakers. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public comments, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. When addressing the board, it is helpful if you state your name and address for the record.
Okay.
Mr. Smith.
Okay, thank you. I don't know beans about charter school agreements, so bear with me. I have some rookie questions to ask you about 3 things that were not covered in the agreement that I read. And I'd like to know if they're covered somewhere else or they fell through the cracks or whatever it happens to be. Again, bear with me. So the first is advertising and marketing. You know, who pays for stuff like, who's responsible for paying for things like this and further outreach? The second is transportation. I didn't see anything in there about bus service to and from. And the third is food service and kitchen facilities. So I don't know, again, I'm a blank slate
But
here,
those
don't
are
know
good
about any of
questions.
this
We
stuff.
have them too.
What was the first thing on advertising?
Advertising.
Advertising and marketing.
No.
Oh, they're advertising on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob. Mr. Lee-sung can answer that.
He has the answers.
Did you have more to say?
If I could just get some kind of general direction on those 3, you know, I would
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Lee-sung, would you, Mr. Smith is down. Mr. Lee-sung, do you think you could address those 3 issues?
Yes, I can, very briefly and succinctly. So first of all, this is a proposed agreement for the board to consider, and it has to do with facilities use. Okay, so, but specifically those 3 items, advertising and marketing, we are not responsible for their advertising and marketing. Keep in mind, this is a county authorized charter. The only mention of any type of anything that potentially could be in that category is related to facilities and how they get approval for posting any signage. So that part is in the agreement. Transportation, again, this is a facilities use, so transportation would be covered under this agreement. And again, we are not responsible for providing any transportation. And similarly, food services as well. They provide that. The only considerations regarding facilities is what type of power outlets might be needed for any food warmers that they are considering to provide food. Yeah.
You're welcome, thank you. Cynthia Blackwell.
Good afternoon, everyone. There's two programs I understand they're getting displaced at Harper or going to be impacted by Isaac being put over there. One's a preschool special ed assessment relocation. And I had a son who was in special ed as a 3-year-old. And when you get a child diagnosed as that, just to start with, your hair goes on fire and you're already running around. So I would want to know, like, what would be the plan for letting parents know exactly if you're going to have a child who is in that program or going to have to get in that program, how they're going to know exactly where to go and what to do if that program has to leave Harper, because, again, having experienced that and working for the district and knowing being on my A game, I thought, even I had trouble maneuvering it. Second thing is, I understand the STEP program is there, the 18 to 21-year-olds, another critical group that are special ed that need to be addressed. And where will these people go and how are they going to adjust to it? Because a lot of times, as you know, kids that are in special ed have trouble making adjustments and transitions. So is there a plan for that? So I'm worried about the two most at-risk group, the preschoolers and the STEP kids. Secondly, I saw in the budget that we have money for marketing. I didn't know what they wouldn't be marketing, but there seems to be about $20,000 left in the marketing budget if I read it right. And so I'm wondering if you guys have done any advertising that Newport-Mesa is running dual immersion programs. They have a Mandarin one and they have the Spanish one, because as Steve also has, I too have the nice ad from Isaac here. In the local paper advertising this, so are we able to advertise? I mean, that would, in my opinion, be a good use of our money if we're trying to let them know, hey, your public schools already have this available to you, and our public schools have everything else you need, and they have a great curriculum, not what you're seeing here. So we need to have a way to counteract that, and if there's money to spend, this would be, in my opinion, a wise use of the dollars for marketing. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Blackwell.
Can we take the rest of the
I'm going to let, there's only one more.
Yeah, I know,
But I was
then we
gonna-
get them all. We can get them all, then we can respond at the end. It's up to you.
No, I'd like, no. Dr. Jocham, will you respond to those two steps? Okay.
I'll say one thing,
Good.
and then we'll
Thank
turn
you.
it over to Dr. Jocham. First of all, we absolutely respect the fact that folks are concerned about our district programs at the Harper site. I just want to assure Ms. Blackwell and everybody else that this agreement and the charter coming to district facilities will not eliminate or reduce any programs in our district and will not reduce any services for our students. In fact, the two programs that you mentioned are staying at the Harper site. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Jocham to maybe add a little bit to that. But I just want to assure you that we're not eliminating any programs or services.
So with the Harper preschool assessment team, this is when parents bring their child of preschool age or earlier for an assessment to the center. They do the assessment, they hold the IEP there, and then the student goes to another location to get services if they qualify for those services. So we are just moving those assessment folks from one end of the campus to the other, and the assessment team folks kind of shared with us in terms of making sure they have the same type of space to be able to do that, a place for parents who are waiting, places for parents to park when they're bringing their kids for that assessment. So that is definitely something we've taken under consideration. And our STEP program, we're just relocating a couple of classrooms within that space, but we're keeping the STEP garden, your flower delivery service will continue next year as we move forward. But I really appreciate you looking at those programs and looking out for them because, we don't want anybody to feel that they're displaced or that their program is less than. So like Russell said, we are not looking to decrease or eliminate any programs, and those two specifically will stay on that campus.
Excellent, thank you. Bob Kelly? your turn. Pardon me?
I was just thanking Steve for his support because I was hard to get. I celebrated
Way too
the.
comfortable.
I know.
Way too comfortable.
I celebrated the end of my my 2-year reign as Newport Balboa Rotary last night, and so I'm still suffering the effects of that celebration. Anyway, for anybody who doesn't know me,
Glad you had fun.
Bob Kelly, Newport-Mesa Federation of Teachers retired chapter president. And I'm just going to echo what Cynthia was just talking about. We were very concerned that the programs, and I'm happy to hear they're going to remain on site. We were really worried about that coming into this meeting, that they were actually going to be moved off site. STEP program is important to me in particular because our organization supports special ed programs, particularly the special ed prom, which I didn't see you there this year.
No, you didn't. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but Candy was there, and that was cool. So that was the first time she had been there. So that was cool that she could see what went on. And it was a fantastic prom. But we missed the step kids not being there because they do enjoy it. We enjoy having them there. They, because they're still part of the special ed program. And we'd like to see if that could be reintroduced next year because we missed having them. We did have a good turnout, though. We had some more kids from Costa Mesa High showed up and so forth, so we had a great time. Let's be very aware, as you seem to be, about taking care of these who are less fortunate than the rest of us and suffer most from changes that take place in their lives. So that's all. Good to see your smiling, happy faces.
Smile season.
Yours too, Fred, okay? I read an article in the paper that, and I thought, nah, it's not him. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bob.
Congratulations.
Yeah, on some freedom time.
No.
Eleanor Rebard.
My name is Eleanor Rebard. I am a Newport-Mesa Unified School District employee for almost 20 years. I've been a Newport-Mesa taxpayer since 1973. I drove by the Harper site today several times. I'm a day off today. Oh. I'm concerned with the traffic, the parking, the drop-off of any potential student at that site. There's a major grocery store right down the street. It's a thoroughfare. I just feel that public safety should be a concern, and I also voice my support of the STEP kids at that site. We need to help them. I'm sure all of you got the flowers. And I've been a supporter of the flowers. And so I really echo also, publicizing how great we are. We don't say enough about what we offer. So thank you for listening.
You're very welcome, and I totally agree. Mr. Lee Sung, will you mind? Yeah, we could address the parking situation.
I will probably defer that question to Mr. Holcomb, but if I may, I think it might be appropriate. I had a little introductory statement that might give some context before we go into closed session and actually consider the action item, particularly with our guests here in the audience. President Matoye,
by the way, in 1 second, I want to thank our guests for coming on a Friday afternoon at a special board meeting, which we did advertise quite early. But I appreciate it because it is an important issue, and you took the time from your lives to come out and say something, so thank you. Okay, Nahab.
Okay. So a little background. As you're fully aware, back in November of 2018, this Newport-Mesa Unified School District Board, upon the recommendation of staff, denied the petition of the Isaac Charter due to several factors, including an unsound educational program and concerns with their budget. The charter took their petition to the Orange County Board for approval, and against the recommendation of the Orange County Department of Education staff who found similar concerns with this charter, the Orange County Board voted 3-2 to authorize Isaac in April of 2019. Meanwhile, Isaac had also submitted a request to our district to use district facilities under Education Code 47614, which is also known as Proposition 39. The district denied this request since we determined Isaac was not entitled to district facilities pursuant to the Prop 39 standards and requirements. Isaac has disagreed and continued to pursue the district facilities. In order to resolve this dispute and avoid costs of litigation, and in the best interests of students, we have negotiated this agreement that settles this dispute. The agreement provides a portion of the Harper Assessment Center site for the 2019-2020 school year. The facilities include Building A. There's 5 buildings at the Harper site, so one of the buildings is Building A, so that entire building. 2 classrooms in Building B, 2 bungalows, and shared use of the MPR and the fields. So in preparation for this potential move that would take place on August 1st and 1 bungalow on July 15th, we've worked with our employees at Harper and the leadership at Harper to create a transition plan under a very tight timeline. I want to acknowledge the impact that this has on staff, facilities, and M&O in this transition, and we certainly appreciate everyone's efforts who are impacted. I also want to state what I mentioned earlier, that this move does not impact any program or services to our students. And STEP, specifically STEP, and the Assessment Center will remain at the Harper site. I want to thank also that we have here present today Davina Hardin and Lindsay Thorson, who have been our legal counsel through this process, and we really appreciate their work in assisting us to negotiate this agreement with Isaac, and they will be here to answer questions if you have any. And finally, Isaac's board did approve this agreement at their board meeting on June 10th, and we do have a signed copy from them pending your final approval. And just to make very clear, the Newport-Mesa Unified District staff does recommend approval of this agreement for the 2019-20 school year.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Oh, Mrs. Flora had a comment.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Mrs. Flora has a few.
Two.
Two.
One is, thank you all for coming, but I also encourage you, all 3 of you, and anybody else that you can drum up to go to the Orange County Department of Ed and speak to them at their meetings. We did have a small improvement. They now are allowing public comment for 30 minutes at the beginning of the agenda, because I chastised them the last time, so please go there and express those exact same concerns. I'm not sure about, and I guess that would be the attorney, is that they're considering themselves a private school because, unlike public schools, we're not allowed to advertise, and they're using taxpayer dollars to advertise for their school. And I don't believe school districts are allowed to advertise, put paid advertising into newspapers, and maybe that's something that you can. Right, and the question is whether they can or not.
No, they're advertising. They
are.
I know that they are advertising for a public school, but they're using they're using public monies.
But they are a public school.
Right, but can we advertise? The question is, can public schools advertise, have paid advertising? Because my understanding is that we can't. So I'm just asking the question. And second, and my most important is, we know that the county chartered this agreement, but at the 2 meetings prior, they had not signed their MOU. So my question again is, does the Isaac Charter School have an MOU with the Orange County Department of Education?
And can they start it if they don't have one?
Because my understanding is, at that point, at the 2 meetings ago when I spoke there, they did not, Ergo, they did not have a number. They could not issue a number until they had a valid MOU. So I'm just asking again the question whether they have a signed MOU with the county Department of Ed. And if they don't, shame on the county.
Yes. Miss Anderson.
One of the things that I brought up at our budget board meeting was, it looks to me that for our kindergarten dual immersion program as per LCAP, we have publicized the program in the community, a $77,000 budget item, of which this year we only used $58,000. So I don't know if it would be an Adriana question as to what that money goes toward, if we're allowed to do it in the newspaper, or what.
Ashley, that's not this issue.
This is my comment. I'm asking.
We don't have comments.
What did Martha just?
We're asked about what we're going into what we have, it was the Isaac. That's the topic of a special meeting. We don't have general comments like we did before. Is this a general budget question, or is this specifically about Isaac?
No, it's specifically about us and charter schools. I'm following up with the question that Martha was asked.
Oh, is there, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. Go ahead, start again.
Okay, so in our LCAP, we have advertising for our dual immersion programs.
Okay.
It says specifically, publicize the program in the community.
Oh.
And there's a $77,000 budgeted item. This past year, unfortunately, we only used 58. I would have liked to have seen us max that out, particularly in fighting this charter and advertising our dual immersion programs that we currently have. I don't know if it's my question to Adriana was, I don't know if we're allowed to advertise in the newspaper or what that publicizing entails. Is that only online? What is that? If we have a $78,000 budget item and we use 56, it was 77 and we used 58, what was the 58 spent on?
I think we stopped once we were full, but
well, in this current, yeah, I mean, if we want people to know that we offer dual immersion, we should have hit that even harder.
Okay, well, okay, duly noted. We are recessing into closed session. That was loud. We're reconvening the meeting. We are at number 8, discussion action. Approve the agreement on the charter facilities agreement by and between Newport-Mesa Unified School District and International School for Science and Culture. In case that didn't get picked up by the mic, we are on the discussion action calendar approving the agreement. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It was moved by Mrs. Yelsey, seconded by Mrs. Black. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll take a vote. Does this agreement have to be good? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstain, absent, good. It's 6-1, 6 yes, 1 no. Any other, yes? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. 6 ayes, 1 no for Mrs. Fleur. No abstentions. All righty, with that being said, it's 4:28. I adjourn the meeting.